What is that? I have my badge. It's right here.
That's a donut! You should know.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 4 Pixels. Coco and Stan are here, and we are continuing Ace Attorney, Justice for All.
Apparently, this is a strange turn of events.
Not really.
This is an everyday occurrence.
Yeah.
I still wanted a bird to commit a murder. If that monkey did not steal the bust, then what happens to this case? Well, in that event, something else must have been used as a murder weapon. Well, Or maybe this bus was the murder weapon, but it was used by accident. That's possible. Maybe Acro saw Money's mountain of stolen goods and thought to use one of them. Anyways, I think we've more than proven one critical fact. Namely, that it was eternally possible that Acro was the murderer.
Moron! Hey, she used something other than fool for once. She's learning.
I'm so proud of her. Mr. Wright's argument was so circular, I'm still a bit dizzy, however. His argument does hold water. There's no denying.
Don't seem so bamboozled, especially by this fraud of an attorney.
Fraud?
You've forgotten the absolute most important thing, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
What is that? I have my badge. It's right here.
That's a donut! You should know.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
You forgot that your fraud of a magical client was spotted at the scene of the crime.
Ah!
There's no reason to doubt the clown's testimony.
I mean, there's every reason to disbelieve it, but okay. That's true. How do you respond to that, Mr. Wright? Nick, don't let her beat you now. I won't. This is my chance to turn this trial around. You said that 4 different times by now.
When the murder occurred, there were 2 people at the scene of the crime. One was the victim, Rasuberi, and the other was the murderer himself. Answer this, and only this, Mr. Phoenix Wright. The clown saw the murder. Who was it then?
It was me. The bird.
Wait, no, not that.
In a top hat. And a cloak.
I think
It was my bird Jiginka. Sona.
Wait, no, it's not right.
What is this supposed to mean?
Yes, what is that supposed to mean? Oh, I think I jumped ahead. Do you mind explaining that to me as well?
You're getting barraged with questions, Nick. I think you made the wrong choice. Why is that? Because you're on the wrong track. Oh. Oopsie. I didn't.
Maybe it was supposed to be the bust again. Let me see. Yeah, it should be.
He's. Mm.
I asked who was the other person Mo saw on the scene. That evidence has nothing to do with the question.
Au contraire, mon frere. Does indeed have something to do with the question. Mo said he saw Max's silhouette, but he did not actually see the man himself. It wasn't a human being he saw. How is that possible? Simple, really. What Mo actually saw that night was Max's bust.
What are you talking about? Have you tried using your brain at all in this case?
I used it many times. You should be proud of me.
I will never be proud of you. The silhouette he saw just happened to be wearing a cloak.
You sound just like my mother.
Oh.
Are you okay?
I'm okay. Oh, that was just a raw statement I was blindsided by.
You're welcome. I mean, listen, we have to laugh for 2 minutes straight somewhere in this. That's entertaining, right?
Yes, always.
Obviously. There's no reason why you couldn't attach a clock to the bus. Or a cloak like that could easily get snagged on the bus if they came into contact.
Idiot, who in their right mind would put a cloak on a bust?
Maybe it wants to be warm.
Yeah, could have been cold in that night air.
It wants to look stylish. It doesn't matter who put it on the bus. It kind of does, because that's the murder. Just wait a minute, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bus? That question is of utmost importance to this case, don't you agree? Duh, he caught me. So let's have it, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bus?
Fool! Him?
You were saying it was the victim himself? Russell Berry? That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the victim himself placed the cloak on the bust?
Placed the cloak isn't really the right way of putting it. Then what would be the right way of putting it, Mr. Wright?
Explain yourself!
Nick, do you really have a handle on all this? Maya, you're not helping at all, so I mean... I'm fine, Maya. I'm finally putting all the pieces together. We don't really know why you're here, Maya. You never help in these cases, from what I've seen.
How dare you!
Well, she helps in, like, investigating, but not in, like, the actual court cases. She's just kind of standing there. She's just like, do you have a handle on this? Like, every 4 minutes. I mean... Why are you here, Maya?
she's here to have burgers.
Oh, that's a good reason. Just eat burgers and corn and be moral support while you're eating. It's very supportive to just eat burgers in front of. There's really only one picture I can paint anyways. Alright. So you want to know what really happened that night? Let's step back in time. Acro used the rope to lower the wooden box into the scene. Then he attached that rope to the bus and dangled the bus out of his bedroom window directly above the wooden box. At the same time, the ringmaster told Max to wait in his room and went to the scene. Of course, at the time, the ringmaster was wearing Max's costume for some reason, because they're into that, yes. Perhaps he didn't want anyone to recognize him that night. But just as he feared, he was spotted at the entrance of the lodging house by none other than a ventriloquist and a puppet. When the ringmaster arrived at the scene, he bent over to lift the wooden box. And that's when Acro took his chance and released the rope. Now this is when the magic happened. At the very instant that the bus hit the victim,
This is one of those things where, like, I can see the logic behind it, but the fact that they made a crappy animation makes it less believable.
yeah, that animation was really bad.
You wait just 1 second there, Mr. Phoenix Bright. As much as you try, as much as you scheme, this just isn't true. It can't be.
It's still a little early to be getting so upset, Miss Von Karma. This circus isn't over yet.
Eh?
Stop showing the crappy animation. You did a bad job on it. Hire better animators. When the shock of impact, it grew up on the cloak and it got snagged onto the bus. But it's weird because the rest of the animations in the game isn't that bad.
Yeah, I don't know.
They probably just got lazy with it. That's when the sound was heard by a witness and he took a look out the window. That witness was, of course, Lawrence Moe Curls, the clown. When Moe looked out his window, the cloak had already snagged onto the bus. Now, having completed the crime, Acro naturally went about pulling up the murder weapon. Of course, he had no idea that Moe saw the bus being raised with the cloak clinging on it. Primarily because, in his wheelchair, he couldn't see out of his window. So he just kept pulling the bus up. There it go. And that is how the magical murder disappeared into the sky came to be. Me too. Maybe just Phoenix made that crappy animation. That's just him doing that.
That would explain everything.
It would. Now you know how the murder actually took place. And now you know who was able to drop the murder weapon from above the scene. Acro, it can only have been you. Acro's been playing mind games with us. Oh, that's Maya. Oh well. All of us. He sure has. But he has come to the end of his rope now.
So,
What now?
you've graced us with a rather long-winded tale. But do you have any evidence to prove that your fairy tale is true?
Evidence?
In this court, only two things matter. Me and my VIP. And I guess the power of evidence.
The power of attorney. Don't forget the power of my gravel as well. It's very loud and very, very confusing. Mr. Wright, the prosecution brings up a good point. Can we see some evidence? Nick, they say they want evidence. Yes, thank you, Maya. We already heard that. I just explained how there could only be one possible murder method. What more do they want? But there's still something unusual about Mosai witness account. I read that wrong. Amused.
They're so big and buggy. Ugh.
They're so anime, unlike the rest of the eyes in this game. A contradiction, actually. Okay then, use that and get out of this jam. That's enough talking amongst yourselves. Proceed, Mr. Wright. Present some evidence to the court that backs your claim. I want hard proof that you have unraveled the trick to this magic case. Because I want to know the truth behind all magic.
Which one is it?
The problem is Max's grease symbol. You know, the silk hat, the cloak, and the white roses. Those symbols were a problem numerous times during yesterday's proceedings. Yesterday, there were two contradictions in Mo's testimony.
The silk hat was one, the white roses were the other.
But the theory I just presented explains all those contradictions.
You fool! Do you ever shut up?
Max's silk hat was found at the scene of the crime. However, remember what Mo said yesterday. He testified that the criminal he saw fleeing the scene was wearing a silk hat. There's only one explanation for that. The silk hat that Mo saw was actually the bust. Makes sense. If you look at it that way, then he did see the silk hat. Well, sort of.
Fine, you've got one, but what about the other contradiction?
The other contradiction.
Remember what the ventriloquist said in court? He said that he witnessed the white roses on Max's chest that night. But the clowns test him when he doesn't match. The clown said that there were no white roses. I'd like to see you try and explain that one away.
I can with the crappy animation. Can you do it, Nick? Of course. I can explain all of it.
What was that?
Please recall the instant when the cloak snagged onto the bus. If the cloak snagged onto the bus, what happened to the white roses? They're very proud of this animation. They shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be.
Do you get it yet? If the cloak got snagged onto the front of the bus, it means that the white roses would end up on the back of the bus. But explains why Mo didn't see it. The white roses were not visible because they were on the back side of the bus. Wait, how the fuck does that work?
Like,
Confused.
basically just think that, like, the bust was covering the roses from the angle that Mo was looking at.
So the cloak went on backwards on the bus?
Yeah, like it snagged onto the front of the bust where it has those cards, like the platinum cards.
Oh,
It got caught on
okay.
those.
Okay, it was on back. Okay, that makes sense. Order. This is quite the shocking state of affairs. Mr. Wright's theory still sounds a bit absurd to me. More absurd than anything else you saw in any other cases? However, let's just keep going down this road for a while and see where it lands. Let's do it, Nick. Then maybe Von Karma will finally grow in the towel. Well, so much for that theory.
Mr. Wright, do you mind?
What is it?
You took the time to research our circus, didn't you?
Well, yes, I did. Is there something making you think I didn't?
If you did, then maybe you'll understand why I think you're off track.
Why is that?
Motive. This witness feels an incredible debt of gratitude towards the ringmaster. Anyone with any relation to the circus is well aware of this. Thus, there's absolutely no way someone like this would kill the ringmaster. Your Honor, I'd like you to hear Akro's story. Learn about his relationship with the ringmaster and his life up until now.
What do we do? There's no doubting that Acro deeply respected the ringmaster. Acro's motive. It seems that this case isn't over yet. Very well. However, I feel this is a good place to take a break. I will listen to the rest of Mr. Dingling's testimony after recess. This court will now take a 10-minute recess.
And with that, we will end this episode right here. Thank you guys for joining us, and see you next time.
Take a 10-minute recess.
Stretch those legs out. Get a glass of water.
Don't be an ass, Yoshiki.
Okay. Let's not have any fighting.
I like fighting, though.
If we don't hurry and get back to cleaning this place up, it'll be 7 o'clock till we do. That's awkward.
Yeah, the translation might be a little bit off.
You wouldn't want to be stuck here during the appointed time, now would you?
I wonder, is it only a Japanese thing that, like, huddling together in a classroom, like, after hours is like a tradition? Like a creepy thing kids do?
I used to do it, but
Yeah.
it was actually before school, not after school. Too late.
Why does she have that voice?
I only have so many voices, Shade.
I mean, same. My, ugh. My, it really is 7 already, and the rain doesn't show any signs of stopping.
しげに傘なら私の置き傘貸してあげるから大丈夫だよ。
Didn't you bring an umbrella, Shig? If not, you're welcome to use mine.
Sweet salty Christ. Really? I almost did what you were doing. Really? Thank you. That would be lovely.
あれ
What?
停電か
Huh, a blackout, huh?
嘘
It can't be.
Ooga booga booga!